Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to change the character mesh in Survival Game Kit V2. This video is for Unreal Engine 5 and Survival Game Kit V2 versions 2.4 or newer. If you're using Unreal Engine 4 or if you're using an older version of Survival Game Kit V2, I'll have a guide linked in the description that you can follow instead. If your new character mesh uses the UE5 skeleton, there'll be a video linked in the description you can follow instead. I'm going to be going through how to use the automatic retargeting and the manual retargeting. If you're using a newer version of Unreal Engine, you should be able to use the automatic retargeting. If you're using an older version, then you won't have that option. You'll have to manually retarget. It will also depend on your character. Some characters won't work with automatic retargeting. Now, one thing you'll need to check on your character is that it has a root bone. So to do that, go to your character's skeleton. And in here, you need to make sure that it does have a dedicated root bone. If your character does not have a root bone, you'll need to export your character to a 3D modeling program and you'll have to add it in that program. You'll have to look around online to find a video or a guide on how to do that in the 3D modeling program you use. If you're using a Mixamo character, if you Google Unreal Engine Mixamo character root bone, you should be able to find information on how to add root bones to those characters. So once you know that your character has a root bone, we can just close this out and go back to the main content folder. So first I'll show you how to automatically retarget your character. If that doesn't work for you or you don't have this option, then you'll need to skip ahead to the manual retargeting section of this video. So to get started, you'll need your new character mesh. Mine is in this characters folder. Then we're going to go to the Survival Game Kit, Animations, Sequences, then Acts, and we're just going to right click any animation. We'll go to Retarget Animations and select that, and this brings up our automatic retargeting window. In here we're going to set the target mesh to our new character mesh, so for me that's this one. And then we're just going to preview one of the animations by clicking it. You can see that the automatic retargeting has worked for my character, so it's automatically set up all of the retargeting stuff for us. If your character is working and you're happy with the preview of the animations, you can start retargeting. So I'm going to use this filter option, select animation blueprint, and we're going to do Control-A to select all of these, click export animations. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this retarget, like that. Then with that folder selected, I'm going to add a suffix _retarget, and we're going to hit export. Then you want to make sure both of these options are ticked on and then hit export again. So once that's done, it should fill up the retarget folder with all your new animations. We're going to go back to Survival Game Kit, Animations, Animation Sequences, and just right click any animation. Go retarget animations again. Then we're going to set our character mesh and we're going to change the filter here to animation montage. And we're going to do Control-A to select all of them, then hold Control and unselect the turn for crouch and the turn animations down here, then hit export animations, and again just select the retarget folder, add a suffix of _retarget, and hit export, and then make sure these are ticked on, then hit export again. And that's all we need to do for the automatic retargeting. So if that worked for your character, you can now skip the manual retargeting section that's next and go to the section after that. In this section of the video, I'll show you how to do manual retargeting. So we're going to start by going to your new characters folder, right click, go to animations and then search for IK and select IK rig. If you're using an older version of the engine, it will ask you to pick a mesh. You want to pick your character's mesh. Then we're just going to rename this to target, like that, and we'll open that up. In here, if you're using a newer engine version, you'll just need to set the preview skeletal mesh here. So set that to your character's mesh. Then I'm just going to drag this up to the top here, and we're going to go to Survival Game Kit, then Meshes, Skeletal, Rigs, and we're going to open up the IK_mannequin. Then we'll just head back to our target IK. Then we're going to select the character's hip bones, so you'll need to find the hip bone on your character. Right click it and do Set Retarget Root. Then we're going to right click the root bone and we're going to do New Retarget Chain. We're going to name this root and hit Add Chain. Now we're going to go through and add all of our chains. So we'll start with the spine, select the first spine bone, hold shift and then select the last spine bone. For me, I only have 2, you may have more. Then we'll right click, do New Retarget Chain, name it spine and hit add chain. Then we'll do the same thing with the neck and head, so select the first neck bone and then shift and click the last head bone, then right click and do new retarget chain and name it head and select add chain. Then right click just the left shoulder and we want to do new retarget chain. We're going to call this left shoulder, like that, add the chain. Then click the left arm bone and hold shift and go down to your left hand bone. Then right click, new retarget chain, name it left arm and hit add chain. Then we'll scroll down and do the same thing with the right. So right click your right shoulder, do new retarget chain, name it right shoulder, add chain. Then we'll do the same thing with the right arm. So the first right arm bone down to the right hand, then new retarget chain, name it right arm, add chain. Then select the first leg bone, hold shift down to the last foot bone and do new retarget chain, name it left leg. And then the same for the right, select the first right leg bone, hold shift and select all of the leg bones, then new retarget chain and add chain. Next we need to do the individual fingers. So what I'm going to do is select my IK mannequin up here and I'm going to find the first finger, so that would be left pinky. I'm just going to copy the name so it's exactly the same in ours. Go back to our character. We're going to find the left pinky bones, so select the first one, hold shift and select the rest of the pinky bones, then new retarget chain and name the chain left pinky, hit add chain. Then we're just going to go through all of the individual fingers, so I'll show you how to do this for the left hand and then you can do the right. So left ring, we'll go back to our character, find the ring finger, so select the first one, hold shift, select the end one, then new retarget chain, just paste that in there and add chain, then go back and the next one is the ring, so we'll copy that, the left thumb, we'll copy that. Then we want to find the first thumb bone, hold shift, select all of the bones, new retarget chain and name this left thumb. Then we'll do the middle, so find your middle finger, first bone, hold shift, select all the bones, new retarget chain, paste that name in. Then we've got left index, so copy that, find the index finger, select all the bones and then do new retarget chain and paste that in and hit add chain. So now you're just going to do the exact same thing with the right hand fingers, just copy the names from in here and do what we did with the left hand, just with the right hand fingers. So once you're done, your right hand should look like this, where you've got each of your finger bones assigned to the correct chains, and down here you should have all of your left and right hand finger bone chains. Now there are more things that you can do in here to improve your retargeting results. You can use things like IKs and IK goals to adjust the animations. I'm not going to be going into that in this video, but I'll have a tutorial series made by Epic linked in the description that you can follow if you want to get more in depth into retargeting. So now this is done, we can save this. We're going to go to the content browser and in our folder with our character meshes, we're going to right click, go to animation and search for IK, and we're going to create an IK retargeter. If you're in an older engine version, it will ask you to pick a source. You're going to select the IK_mannequin. Then we're going to open up our new retargeter. Now because I'm in a newer engine version, I have to set the source in here. So I'm going to set this to my IK_mannequin. Then we're going to set the target IK rig to be the new rig that we just created, so target. I'm just going to drag this up to the top here. So the first thing we need to do is go to chain mapping, and in here find the left shoulder. You can see that currently its source chain is set to none. We need to change this to be the clavicle. So because it's the left shoulder, we want the left clavicle, and then right shoulder, we want this to be the right clavicle. If you named your chains correctly, all of the names should match up other than the shoulders, which will be set to the clavicles. Next, we're going to select the root chain here, and we're going to go to translation mode, and we're going to set this to globally scaled, like that. Now we're just going to zoom out so we can see both our characters. Next, we're going to need to adjust our character's pose to basically try and match up our mannequin's pose as close as possible. So if your character, for example, is in a T pose, you'll want to rotate the arms down to match the A pose that the mannequin is in. To do that, we can hit this button here, and that will allow us to select bones, like for example our left shoulder, and you'll be able to rotate the arm to match up with the mannequin's arm. Now, the more time you spend in here getting the poses matched up as best as possible, the better your retargeting results will be. If you're in an older engine version, the UI in here will look a little bit different. You'll have a edit pose button that you can press instead that will allow you to edit your pose. Now, because I'm in a newer engine version, there's actually an auto align tool here that we can use, and this will basically allow the engine to choose the pose of our character to try and get the best result. So that's what I'm going to use. Again, if you want to, you can manually adjust your character. So just select the bones and you can adjust these however you like. But I'm going to select auto align and align all bones, and the engine's going to do it for me. So I'm happy with this, but you can spend more time tweaking things if you need to. Then we can go to the asset browser and we can just make sure that our character is retargeting correctly. So you can see, because my character is larger, the hands aren't going to match up exactly in the position, but you can see our animation does seem to be retargeting okay. So I'm going to be happy with this. If yours doesn't match up well, you'll have to spend more time adjusting the pose. You can also, again, look into that tutorial series I linked below, and that will give you more details about the settings you can adjust in here. So now that we're happy with our retargeter, we're just going to save this and go back to the content browser. Then we're going to go to Survival Game Kit, Animations, then to Layers. We're going to select one and do Control-A to select them all. Right click and then select the retarget animations. If you're in an older engine version, it will say something like retarget animation assets. If you hover over that, it will say duplicate and retarget animation assets. You'll want to click that instead. So once we select this, it will bring up our window. Again, if you're in an older engine version, it won't look the same. You'll just have an option for an IK rig and an option for remap referenced assets. You want to make sure that's ticked on, and then set your IK rig to our new retargeter that we created. In this engine version, we need to set our mesh. So we're going to select that. We're going to untick auto generate retargeter, and we're going to set the retarget asset to our new retargeter. If you are in an older engine version, you'll just be able to click export and pick a folder and export your animations to that folder. Since we're in a newer engine version, I'm going to click the filters, tick on animation blueprint, and I'm going to do Control-A to select them all, hit export animations. We're going to pick a folder. I'm going to create a new folder called retarget, like that. Select that folder, and in suffix, I'm going to add underscore retarget, just so we know that these are the new retargeted animations, and I'm going to hit export. Make sure both these options are ticked on and hit export. Once that's done, you should see all your animations in this folder. Then we're going to go back to Survival Game Kit, Animations, Montages, and we're going to turn on a filter, go to Animation, and just search for Montage, and tick that on. Then we're going to do Control-A to select all of these, right click, retarget animations. In here, set our mesh again, make sure auto generate retargeter is ticked off, set our new retargeter, and then we're going to add a new filter here to show Anim montages. Again, if you're in an older engine version, you would just click export, you won't have this panel. Then we're going to do Control-A, then we're going to hold Control and unselect these two animations and these two turn animations. Then select export animations, select our retarget folder, add a suffix underscore retarget, and hit export. Make sure both options are ticked on, and then hit export. Once that's done, we've finished our manual retargeting now, so we can move on to the next steps. Next, we're going to go to our character's skeleton. So for me, that's this one. Then you're going to go to Window and make sure that Anim Slot Manager is ticked on. Then go to the Anim Slot Manager, and we're going to create a new group for each one of these slots. So we'll start with upper body. We'll call this upper body group, like that. Then right click upper body and send it to the upper body group. Then we're going to do the same for each one of these. So lower body group, right click this and send that to that group. Then we're going to do upper body shoot group, send this one to that group. Then we're going to do full body, so full body group, send that to that group. Then upper body left arm group, right click that slot and send it to that group. Then upper body pre-AO group, right click that and send it to that group. Then upper body post AO group, and then send that to that group. So once you're done, each slot should have its own group. Next, we need to add our sockets. So we're going to go to Showcase, then in here, go to Content, Survival Game Kit, Meshes, Skeletal Meshes, then scroll down and find the SK_mannequin. And in here, we're going to start by click the left elbow IK socket, hold shift, and select the right elbow socket, then do copy selected sockets, then go back to your character, right click the root, and do paste sockets to selected bone, like that. Then we're going to go back to the SK mannequin and we're going to find the secondary pistol socket and the primary one. Select both of those, do copy selected sockets, go back to your character. We're going to add these to the hip bone. You'll need to find the hip bone for your character. Then right click and do paste selected sockets to bone, like that. Now these sockets are used to attach the pistol when it's in a weapon slot. You can click this button here to make the socket easier to move. So we'll just do that. And you want these roughly on the side of your character's waist. So I'm just going to move these roughly to about there. You can come in later and adjust these. So once you're happy with those, we'll go back to the SK mannequin. Then do the same thing with our primary and secondary socket. So I'm just going to select both of those, copy selected sockets, go back to my character, and you're going to want to find the top spine bone. So for me, that's spine 1. Yours might be spine 5 or something like that. Just find the top one, then right click and paste them onto that bone. Then we can roughly move these into the correct location. So somewhere around the character's back. I'm just going to put mine here and my primary one around here. Then we'll go back to the mannequin. We're going to scroll down and find the right hand bone, and we're going to select the top socket, hold shift and go down to the R socket down here and do copy selected sockets, go back to our character. We're going to find the right hand bone. So for me, that's this one. We're going to paste sockets to selected bone, like that. Now I'll show you later on in the video how we can come in here and adjust these sockets, because they'll probably need moving around depending on your character's mesh. Lastly, we've got one more socket to do. So we need to find the head bone. So we'll just scroll down, find the right hand IK socket, copy that, copy selected sockets, go back to your character, then find the head bone, select it and do paste sockets to selected bone, like that. Then we're going to go to the content browser, go to your retarget folder, and we're going to search for third person. Open up the third person Anim retarget blueprint. Then we're going to go to the Anim graph, go to locomotion, then idle. Select this node and change the instance class. We're going to search for unarmed, and we want the unarmed Anim layers _ retarget. We're going to be using that a lot, so we'll go back, then do the same thing in jump start. Select this, change it to unarmed, the unarmed, the same one. Then we'll do the same for jump loop. And the same thing for jump land. Then we'll go to the event graph, so Anim graph, sorry. Then we'll select this node and we'll change this to unarmed. And this node here to the unarmed retarget. And this one here. And this one. And this is the last one, so we'll do it for this as well, like that. Then we can compile. Next, we're going to select this 2-bone IK node, and in the settings, we need to change the bone names to our character's equivalent bone. So this is set to spine 5. If you don't have a spine 5, you want to pick the top spine bone on your character. So for me, that's going to be spine 1. Then going down, that's all fine. So then we're going to select the next transform node, and this is spine 1. So you want this to be your first spine bone. Then this is spine 2. You want this to be the second one. I only have 2, so I'm just going to set it to spine 1. Then we'll compile. and that should get rid of those warnings. Then we're going to go up to here. We've got two transform nodes here, so we'll select the first one. This is set to spine 1, so we want this to be our first spine bone. This is set to spine 3, so you want this to be a middle spine bone. I only have 2, so I'm just going to select spine 1 and I'll compile. Then we're going to go down and find the first layered blend per bone node. Open up layer setups and just click through the drop downs. And in here you can see it's set to clavicle left, so we want this to be our left shoulder bone. So if you're not sure what that is, you can go to your character skeleton and you'll want to find whatever your left shoulder bone is called. You can just copy the name and paste that in here, like that. Then moving down, we've got another blend per bone node. In here you can see it's set to spine 1. We want to change this to our first spine bone. So for me that will be the B_spine. So I'm just going to select that name and paste that in here, like that. Then we're going to compile and save this, and we're going to go back to the retargeting folder and search for first person and open it up. We're going to do pretty much the same thing in here. Go Anim graph, locomotion, idle, select this node and change this to the unarmed retarget. Then do the same for jump start, jump loop, and jump land, like that. Then go to the Anim graph. One thing I did miss is in locomotion, make sure you do the same thing for movement. So change this to unarmed retarget. Then we can go to the Anim graph. In here we'll select these two nodes, so the right hand, we'll change this to unarmed, and the same for the left hand, like that. Then we're going to select the blend per bone node. In here you can see it's set to clavicle L, so we're just going to copy our character's left shoulder bone name. So I'm just going to copy that, paste that in here, like that. Now I did miss one in our third person, so we'll just go back there, go to locomotion, movement, select this node and change this to the unarmed retarget as well. And we'll compile that. Go back to our first person and we'll compile that as well. Next, we'll go back to the content browser and we're going to search for Holdable in your retarget folder. Open that up. And in here, we're going to start by going to class defaults and we want to go and find the bone names. So I'm just going to scroll down and you can see we've got bone names. We want to change this one to our right hand bone name. So go to your character, find your right hand, copy the bone name and paste that in here. Then we want our head bone name. So again, go back to our character. The head is called B_head. So I'm just going to copy that and paste that into the head bone name like that. Next, we're going to go to the functions, then references, and open up get third person anim. We're going to disconnect this from our return node, select the return node, and change this to ABP_third person, and we want it third person anim retarget object reference. Then we're going to delete the cast node, drag out from here, and do cast to ABP_third, and we want the retarget version, and connect this up here like this. Then do the same thing with the get first person anim BP. We'll go there, select this return node, disconnect that, change this to ABP_first, and we want the first person retarget. Then we'll delete the cast node, drag out from here and do cast to first person anim retarget, and connect this up to here like that. Then we'll compile. We'll get some errors, but we'll fix those. Then we're going to click the first error target, so just click that, it will take you to here. We can disconnect this, drag out and search for set turn, and we want set turn in place requested. Delete this node and connect this up here like that, then compile. Then we're going to scroll down in the compiler results here and find the other errors. So we've got another error here, just click target. What we're going to do, delete held item, drag out from here and do get held item, plug this back in. Compile that, scroll down, we'll find the next one, click the target, same thing here, so we'll just drag out, do get held item, delete the errored one, and connect this up here and here, then compile. Then we'll click the next target error. Then in here, we're going to delete this node, drag out from our third person Anim BP and search for bind event turn. And we want bind event to play turn in place. Connect that up here and to this node. We're going to set the function to be turn in place. Then we're going to delete this one. Drag out from the third person again. Search for bind event stop. Bind event stop turn in place. Connect that up to here and to this create event node. Set the select function to stop turn in place, Anim, like that. Then over here, we're going to drag out and we're going to search for get turn in place. And we've gone get turn in place requested. Plug that in here and here. Delete this. Then connect this up to the rest of this code and compile. So once that's done, you shouldn't have any more errors. We're going to go through and correct these warnings now. Next, we're going to start by selecting this top warning here, and it's going to take us to the third person aim offset. And in here, we're going to remove some of these nodes. Now, depending on how many spine bones you have, will depend on how many of these nodes we need. As you can see, here is spine 1, and then here is spine 5. Now, my character only has 2 spine bones, so I'm just going to keep 2 of them. If your character has 4, you want to keep 4. If you have 5, then you can keep all 5. So this is going to depend on your character, but for me, I'm going to delete these 3 because I only have 2 spine bones. I'm going to connect this up to here, like that. Then we're going to select the first one. We need to change this to be our hips bone, so I'm going to find hips, set that there. Here, I'm going to change this to my first spine bone, then the second one to my second. Obviously, if you have more spine bones, you'll need to go through the nodes that you haven't deleted and set them to the next spine bones. Then we're going to select the transform node here, change this from head to our head bone, so b_head, like that. We'll compile, that should get rid of those warnings on those nodes. Next, we need to go to the next error, so I'm just going to click that. You see it's taken me to the first person _Hand IK. If it doesn't take you here, you can find these in the animation layers, so third person, right hand IKs. Then we're going to select the first node here. We're going to change the hand bone to our right hand bone. So right hand, scroll down, change the head to our head bone, and then change the right clavicle to our right shoulder, like that. Then we're going to select the fabric node, and over here we're going to scroll up, change head to our head bone, then going down, hand to our right hand, so right hand. Then upper arm right, we want this to be our right arm, so right arm, this will be the bone connected to your shoulder. Then moving on to the transform node, we're going to change this to our right hand, so right hand, and then the same again with this second transform node, so right hand, then compile, and that should get rid of those warnings. Then we're going to click the next error, so we'll just click this, it will take us to third person left hand IKs. Here we're going to select the first node, we're going to change this to our left hand. Then scrolling down, we want to select our right hand, so right hand, then our left shoulder, so left shoulder. Then the transform node, we want to change this to our left hand, like that. Now this is for the mannequin character, since we're not using that. We're just going to disconnect these nodes, move them out of the way, connect this up to here, like that. Then we'll compile. Then we're going to click the next warning, and in here, we're going to do the right hand, so we want to change this to hand, right hand, like that. And then we want to change head to head, and clavicle right to our right shoulder. Then the same with this node, so change the tip bone to right hand. Then the upper arm right, we want to find our right arm connected to our shoulder bone, and that should be good. Then on the transform, we're changing this to right hand here, and the same on this node, right hand. Then we can compile. Oh, we missed one on this fabric node, so we'll just look for that. Oh, we forgot the head, so we'll change that to head, then compile. Then we're going to click the next error. That's going to take us here. Again, these nodes we're not using, so we'll just disconnect those, move those out of the way, connect this up to our output pose. And then at the beginning, we're going to select this node, set this to left hand, so find your left hand bone, and then the right hand bone, so we'll find that, select that there, And then with the transform node, we want to change this from left hand to our left hand bone, then compile. Oh, we missed one in our 2-bone IK, so scroll down, find the joint target, change that to your left shoulder, so shoulder left, then compile. So once you've done that, you shouldn't have any warnings. You won't have these warnings. Next, we need to go to the third person and then the upper body overlay. And then here we're going to select this blend per bone node, click the layers setup. Here we want to set this to our last spine bone. So for me, that's going to be the, the spine 1. So I'm just going to copy that name and put that here. This will be your last spine bone name, and we'll compile. Then we're going to go to the full body blend down here, open that up. Then here we're going to change the bone name in here to our first spine bone. So for me that is the spine 1, or sorry, just spine. And I'm going to set that here. Then this one we want to be our first neck bone. So we'll find that neck. Mine is just called B neck. So I'll set that here like that. Then we'll compile. Then we're going to go to the functions, open up the blueprint thread safe update animation function. And in here we need to find the update aim offset. Open that up. And at the end, you can see we've got a divide node, and this is dividing by 7. So this is the number of nodes that we're using in our aim offset. So if we go to animation layers, third person, aim offset, this is going to be the number of these nodes here that you have. So I've only got 4 because I only have 2 spine bones. So we're going to go back to that code. And we're going to set this to 4. If you have 5, you'll put 5. If you have 7, put 7. So this is just the number of nodes there. Then compile. Next, we need to set up our foot IKs. So we're going to go to our character's skeleton. We're going to right click the root and do add a virtual bone. Then we're going to select the foot bone. So let's just search for foot and select the left foot bone. Then we're going to do the same thing, right click the root, add virtual bone and search for foot, and do one for the right foot bone. Then we're going to go to the content browser, go to survival game kit, then meshes, skeletal, rigs, and we want to find the CR_mannequin_basic foot IK. Open that up. Then we're going to go to rig hierarchy and right click and do refresh, select mesh, and we want to select our character, so select that. And it should change to have all of your character's bones. One thing I do recommend doing is before we do anything in here, just go to your content browser and hit save all, just because the control rigs can be a little bit unstable and they can crash your engine sometimes. So once that's saved, we'll go back to our IK rig, and in here we're going to change a couple of things. So you can see our trace here uses the IK foot, but our character doesn't have that bone. So we're going to change this to the VB bone that we created. This is going to be the left foot, and then this one, search for VB, and we want the right foot. Then going down here, we want to change these bone names. So this one will be our VB left foot, this will be our VB right foot, and this will be our hips bone. So mine is called hips, so I'm going to set that there. Then down here, we want this to be VB left foot, and this one VB right foot. And then here we need to set our hips bone, so hips. Then this needs to be our left foot bone, so search for foot, set it to your left foot bone, and then this one, search for foot, select your right foot bone, then compile. Next we're going to go to the content browser, survival game kit, then blueprints, then items, holdable items, and in here we need to go through each one of these and change its anim layer to the retargeted version. So I'm not going to do it for all of these, but I'll show you how to do it. We'll open up, say, the axe, for example, go to the class defaults, and in here, search for animation layer. And you can see over here, we've got our animation layer set. We need to change this to the axe retarget version. So it was set to axe, and we're setting it to axe retarget, like that. So you're going to want to do that for each one of these holdables. It's the exact same process, just set it to that holdable's retarget version. So once you've gone through all of these blueprints and changed their animation layers to the retarget versions, we're going to go to Survival Game Kit, then Animations, Montages, and we're going to turn on a filter. So I'm going to go to Filter, animation. I'm going to search for montage. And oh, we already have that filter here, so I'm just going to tick that on. You can see all of our montages in this folder. So in here, we're going to delete each one of these, and as we go, we're going to replace their references with the retargeted version. So I'll show you a couple of examples, and then you can go through and do the rest. So starting with this one, we're just going to select rename, copy the name, then click off, click it again, hit delete. Then in the replace references here, just paste the name in. You'll see that we've got the same montage just with underscore retargeted. Select that and then hit replace references, then hit OK. And it should ask us to save. We'll just hit save selected. So you just need to go through that process for each one of these montages. I'll show you again quickly. I'm just going to rename, copy the name, delete, and then paste that name in here. Select the retargeted version, hit replace references, hit OK, and then hit save once this pops up. So go through and do that same process with each one of these montages. So once you're done, your montages folder should be empty like this. We can turn off this montages filter now. And something I recommend doing is just clicking save all, and then right click your content folder and do update redirect to references. On older engine versions, when you click this, the engine might freeze for a little while. Just let it do its thing and eventually it will unfreeze. In newer engine versions, you click it and you get this window pop up. Just hit delete unreferenced redirectors and just let it do its thing. So once that's done, we're going to go to the survival game kit, search for SGK master and open up the master character. In here, I'm just going to drag this up to the top. We're going to select the first person body component. Then we're going to change the skeletal mesh to our character's skeletal mesh. So I'm going to select this one. Then do the same thing with the mesh component here. We'll change that to our character's mesh, like that. We also want to change the Anim class, so I'm just going to change this to ABP underscore third. We want the retargeted version. Then do the same thing with the first person body, so ABP underscore third. We want the retarget one. Next, we need to set our first person arms. So if you double click this, you should see your character playing the animations now. If your character did not come with separate arms meshes, I'll show you how to create those now. If you're using an older version of Unreal Engine, you're going to have to export your character to a 3D modeling program and cut out their arms, then re-import them into the engine. If you're using 5.4 like I am, the engine has a tool that we can use to actually do this. So we'll start by, we'll just compile this, then go to Edit, Plugins, and search for Skeletal. And we want to enable Skeletal Mesh Editing Tools. Hit Yes, and then we're going to need to restart the engine. So hit Restart, and don't forget to click Save. So once we're back in the engine, we're going to go to our characters folder. I'm going to create a duplicate of my character mesh. So I'm just going to drag and drop and do copy here. Open up that duplicate, and you should see the editing tools now. You can click that to bring up this panel. We're going to go to generate polygroups, and we're just going to hit accept. Then we'll go to the shape modeling and select the polygroup edit. And in the selection filters, untick these two options. So it should look like this once you're done. And now we can use this tool to actually cut our body away from our arms. So I'm just going to start selecting my body, then hit delete faces to delete that. I'm just going to zoom in a bit more. And I'm going to try and get my arms cut out as cleanly as possible. I'm just going to highlight these bits, delete that, and delete these extra bits. Obviously, you can spend more time getting these clean. I'm just doing this quickly, so we'll delete those. That's going to be fine for what I'm doing. Once you're happy with it, you can just hit accept, and now we've got our arms cut out. So now we can save this, exit out, go back to our SGK master character, open that up, and in here, double click the first person arms, and we can change this now to our new arms mesh that we created, and change the Anim class to ABP underscore first, and we want the first person retargeted one like that. Then compile. Now there's one other thing that I forgot to change in our animation blueprints, so we're just going to go back to our retarget folder, search for third person, open that up, and in here go to class defaults. We'll hide this tab, find the animations drop down, and change this to ABP underscore unarmed, and we want the retargeted version. Then we'll do the same thing in the first person, so search for first person, open that up, and in the class defaults find the anims, then change this to the unarmed retargeted, then compile that. So now we can test this out. I'm just going to hit play and we should see our character playing our animations. Now, if when you look side to side, your character does this, I'll show you how to fix that quickly. If your character doesn't do this, then you don't need to do this step. So we're going to go to the third person animation blueprint, go to the Anim graph and find the rotate root bone node. And in here with that selected, we're going to go to the settings here. We're going to set the yaw. We're going to click this drop down. We're going to remove binding. We're going to change, or we're going to untick exposes pin and untick dynamic variable. Then for pitch, we're going to click the bind option. We're going to find the root yaw offset and select that. Then compile. So next we can actually test this out. I'm just going to hit play. And you can see our turning is now working like it should do. And if we run around, our animations are all working as well. Now I can show you how we adjust the sockets. So for example, if I equip this weapon, you can see it's attached to the socket, but it's not in a great place. So what I'll do is Shift F1 to get our mouse, and we'll go to our characters folder, get rid of this search, open up your skeleton, and in here we can adjust our sockets. So this is attached to the primary socket, so we can select that, not that one, the primary socket here, and we can move that socket around and change its rotations as well, and get that wherever you want the weapon to attach to. You can do the same thing with the secondary socket here, and then we've got the pistol primary and secondary sockets here as well. Next you'll need to go through these holdable sockets here, so these are on our right hand bone. What you can do is, say for example for the M4, we can right click it, do add preview asset, search for M4A4, select that mesh, and now we can use this preview to move our socket to a position that will look good in our character's hands. So you can move it, you can rotate it if you need to get it into a decent position for your character. So something like that. You will probably need to do this for each one of the sockets. This will depend on your character. If you want to get rid of the current preview, just right click and do remove all attached assets. So I do recommend going through each one of these, right clicking, adding the mesh for that socket and adjusting them for your hand. So once you've set all of your socket positions for your character hand, you can, in game, we can try and equip our weapon, but this weapon in particular uses Hand IKs to position it, which will need to be edited. So I'll have a guide on how to change the weapon IKs linked in the description that you can follow that will take you through that process. And when you follow that guide, make sure you edit the settings in your retargeted animation blueprints. So for example, the M4A4, you want to make sure you're doing it in the retargeted version and not in the original versions that come with Survival Game Kit. I'll also have a separate guide linked in the description that shows you where you can change your character's animations as well. So that's going to be it for this video. If you have any questions or problems, please feel free to leave a comment below.